Hello and welcome to this special episode of the Career Success Podcast titled How to Build a Community That Builds Your Brand. I'm Jason Connolly. If you're a regular listener, it's great to have you back. But if you're new, welcome to the show. In this series every week, we speak to the biggest names in business all across the globe. We talk about their career stories, the lessons learned, how they overcome challenges, and what success habits they practice. This is practical advice to help you in your career. If you have a passion for business, then this is the podcast for you. And now in this special episode, I'm joined by Ewa Pietreniuk from London. Ewa is a personal brand communication specialist with a passion for helping solopreneurs and service providers leverage their personal brand online to create business and personal success. Ewa believes that having a personal brand isn't nice to have anymore if you don't want to be left behind. It's a necessity. She combines both personal brand expertise and communication knowledge. Her work is underpinned by her empathetic nature and her interest in behavioural psychology. Today, she merges all of that to create a unique approach that helps build your personal brand online. Ewa has done it for others. She's done it for herself, and she knows how to teach you too. Ewa, thank you for joining me on this special episode.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Johnson.
I'm so excited to talk about this. Now, we're talking today about how to build a community that builds your brand. But before we talk about the subject in hand, and we're going to come on to that in some great detail, tell us a bit about you and your kind of journey to become a personal brand communication specialist.
It was bumpy, like most journeys. It's never straight. So it goes back to uni days, really. I studied politics, and I specialized in political marketing, both nonverbal and verbal communication, and how to use this along with different marketing techniques to influence political arena. It's very sexy. And then, to be honest, that's nothing different than personal branding just for politicians. And I suppose we're going back to the times when I graduated university, when internet was really in its infancy and websites were rubbish. So it wasn't something people used to do. It was still a normal media, television, press. So personal brand really was something for people who would appear on the television. And that's why politicians were the ones to really use it, mostly because they wanted to be seen for and represented and stand for something, and they wanted to influence quite a huge amount of people. So it makes sense. Now the world has changed a little bit in the last 15 years, quite a lot, and so this isn't anymore something for politicians or for TV stars. It's for everyone. Personal brand, or leveraging your personal brand online, isn't about creating something that you are not or pretending something. It's simply leveraging your reputation. It's controlling your online reputation. It's about telling people what you do, what value you provide, and how you are different. And that element of what is different about you is really key if you want to build a personal brand that's going to be understood, that's going to be listened to, and most importantly, acted upon. And that comes then to your communication, to your ecosystem, which is what we will talk as well about today. So I guess my journey started when I graduated and when I worked with it. Then later I worked in more commercial space, in a lot in beauty industry, and then I ventured into working with entrepreneurs and sort of people providing services. And a lot of my clients nowadays is also in like banking or finance industry. So usually people that I work with will be someone who's got 15 years of experience. They're amazing in what they do, but they don't really feel like they feel that maybe they don't like social media, that it's not their place where they feel comfortable. However, they understand that today's world means that there is presence online, and maybe they should do something about it. So that's usually the people that I tend to work with.
So it sounds like a lot of the people you go to, there's a great, reluctance as such for them to kind of be engaging with these platforms. But I think what's interesting is, and I know the value of personal brands. I've been on that journey, and I leverage off that every single day. But it's important, and I say to a lot of people now that it's not sometimes enough to just be good at your job. If no one knows that you're there, you need to
You
be able
nailed
to
it.
have that personal brand.
Absolutely, music to my ears. And I had recent really interesting conversation with a friend of mine who is a scientist, and she really is changing the world. And it pains me sometimes when people like this see people maybe less experienced than them achieving success, and they might feel that, oh, it's fake, that's not real, because they feel like, oh, they know more and they should deserve the promotion or take over the project over someone else. The problem is, unless you go out there and you start telling them the great work you're doing, and it doesn't have to be bragging, there are ways to do it better, and that's exactly what I'm teaching people. No one's going to know what you're doing. You may as well be playing Angry Birds all day on your computer. How am I supposed to know that you're actually doing some decent work, right? Unless you
Yeah.
show me. So I think sometimes the reason why those less experienced people are getting their opportunities is because they're not scared of talking about their achievements. If they're smaller than yours, they talk about it. And so that's what other people often see. And
And I
then
think one of the important things is it's not just an external, and I think you've just hit on something quite important there. It's not just about external personal brand to build clients. It's about your internal personal brand if you want to get promotion.
actually, yes. And it's really interesting because what we're talking today is actually one of the last parts of personal brand strategy or rebranding. If I'm doing it with someone, I always call it rebranding, because people come to me sometimes and say, look, I don't have a personal brand, but I know what I'm doing. I've went freelance, or I've started my business, and I need to, I need to be seen as an expert that I am. What do I do? Where do I start? Who do I talk to? And how do I build my network? It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. First, you need to get clear on who you are, what people think about you today,
Mm.
how do they see you? Is this perception right with what you want to be seen as? And then what needs to change? So you need to do a lot of work on yourself first. And honestly, I can't believe I've worked with some of the most amazing people, running the world. And I haven't met yet one person who wouldn't have a single mindset block or wrong
Mm.
like belief. So no matter what exceptional experts they are and how high positions they held, they all had some sort of false beliefs that hold them back. Things like, oh, I just don't want to brag about myself, like seeing that that's something wrong. But very often it's all about understanding why, what is the purpose of you having a personal brand? What is the change that you want
Mm.
to make? Because if you have all those skills, if you're really good at what you're doing, imagine what impact you could have on the industry, on people's lives, if you were not shy and actually told them what you know.
And it sounds to me like that must be before you even get to the point of building the personal brand. There's quite a lot of self discovery that needs to be had, not just about how you internally feel about yourself, but it's about the perception of what others feel about you. And I can imagine that's quite a difficult thing for some people to go through that process, even with you in those kind of early stages, because
Um,
sometimes we don't want to stand still and look at ourselves and start thinking. Yeah, I can imagine it's a pretty uncomfortable experience.
I suppose, I mean, that depends what kind of person you've been for the most of your life, I guess.
I suppose it does, but I'm
I
thinking
wanted
from
to
a
know if
point of view
you
that
were
someone
right,
hasn't
but
got.
I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking that you turn up to someone and you're sort of asking them these,
There
what
are
might be
ways to
difficult
do it.
questions, and I
Yeah.
can imagine someone's having to do at times,
Yeah.
some level of soul searching in order to think, well, what is my message I want to send out
You
to
know,
the world?
yeah, it is. And I think it's very important, obviously, to start with what is the message. You need to be clear, and then doing the research. And I do make my clients start with the research, because you need to know what people are thinking and telling about you today, and that links them back to that community. Because if you want to build a community, and the reason why you need to work on yourself, understand the community, because then you have to develop messaging. You have to be clear on what you're going to be talking about. And that's, in all my career, whether I worked with brands, with startups, whatever you want to do, look for contractors, sell your product, do advertising. And the same to your personal brand. When you're doing it for yourself, you need to have a clear message to people. You need to know what is your pitch, how are you pitching yourself, how are you different, what is your value proposition. If you don't know it off by heart, how on earth can you do it when you're having drinks with people, so that that person walks out and they can tell another person what you do? Because the reason why is it so important, we can message and we can promote our brand, but in the end, it's what other people say about us that's determine how we are being perceived.
And I think the very word perceived and perception was a very valuable business lesson I learned, because a lot of people look at the world through their own lenses, but especially when you're going out there and you're either wanting promotion or you're wanting to get business, you've got to be able to
Mhm.
see other people's perceptions and what their perceptions are of you. And sometimes I guess, again, I'm not wanting to be negative here, but that can be an uncomfortable experience, maybe thinking that you might be seen as one thing and then realizing that actually this is how people are perceiving me, and maybe this is why I haven't got the job that I want.
Exactly. And it does hurt sometimes. I send a survey to usually my clients, because I do it every 6 months, at least once a year, but I try to do it every 6 months.
Mhm.
And that's so I can see whether my communication is correct, or do I need to adjust something? Is something that I'm not communicating in my business to get the better results, both for my clients, better products, and whatever that is, and ultimately clients as well. And sometimes people will reply with like one sentence that really opens your mind, and you go like, yep, he's right, I did not say that. And it's like, it's usually things that you know your worth, you know your expertise, you
Mm.
know why you know the stuff, because you spent X amount of years working in this company, X amount of years there, you studied this, you studied that. But this client that's sitting on your workshop or talk that you're giving them the seminar doesn't know that. So unless you tell them,
Mm.
he won't know, and he might be your potential client. So sometimes that self-awareness is really key, and it's the first element to then making adjustments in your communication, and then to your network. So yeah, sometimes it does hurt. I'm not going to say that it doesn't, but that's you have to be accountable for who you are and what you're doing. And as much as it can hurt a little bit, that's the only way you can make adjustment in your communication and come back stronger. So the next time you send the feedback, it's music to your ears.
Well, exactly. So to kind of go into the nuts and the bolts of this episode, how to build a community that builds your brand. So we kind of covered off, the early stages of kind of thought process people need to go to. But, we've got people listening to this now that are saying, all this sounds absolutely wonderful. I want to develop my brand and I want to get a community. Let's kind of, unpack as much as we can, because I want to help as many people as we possibly can in this episode. Tell us, kind of to people listening now, how do they get started on this journey, Eva?
Okay, so I think the first important element is goal setting. So when it comes to your personal brand, there are obviously different elements of building that brand, and your ecosystem or your network is one of them. And the key to personal brand is leveraging the right ecosystem to reach your goal. So therefore, your goal is like the beginning to determine what is the right ecosystem for you. So it could be different for different goals, right? And obviously, so having a goal, where you're going, what you're trying to achieve, maybe this year or maybe within the next 2 years, will help you establish the people who need to appear in your ecosystem. Think about it: who needs to know what I do and how good I am at what I'm doing?
Mm.
It's really trying to now put it in a super plain English.
To start to think about who's the audience, who is it here that I need to kind of get this message to? Is it internal? Is it clients? Is it this
Yeah,
particular audience?
and it's
You start to get down on paper who it is that
yes,
you want to
and you
target.
can. I always say you can do it in two ways. You can do it in like if you imagine circles coming from a small in the middle and going outwards, or like reversed pyramid, starting tiny at the bottom and then going out wider at the top. So very often people start thinking podcast. I go on podcast, but that's actually like your last element, nearly on the outer layer, because people very often are trying to start big and quite far out, and they forget about people close to them. So I always say your inner circle, it starts with you, and then your inner circle, people next to you. And depending on situation, if you're working in a big corporation or if you're working in a company, it could be your direct co-workers, right? People that work on projects with you, people in your next to you in the desk. Then would be your department. Then the next layer could be the whole company, and then the next could be external, like clients. So you have to figure out, and I guess, who matters. So who in that inner circle needs to know what you're doing, maybe what your ambition is and what you're good at, and how you're different from someone else in the company that's got similar skills. What's your point of difference? So I always work with my clients on the point of difference. That's one of the first steps we're doing. So you kind of know already how you're different at that point. Then who needs to know in the department? And the way we do it, I always talk to my clients about something that we call 90-10 rule. The 90-10 rule basically refers to the fact that generally 90% of the network or people is influenced by 10%, and we would call them influencers, right? So your job when
Mm.
you're building your ecosystem is to think, who are the 10% of people that need to know who I am and what I do and how great I am at what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
So
sounds so. Yeah.
you can't be everything to everyone, because I guess
Oh, I agree.
because
You need to pick your target audience and know
yeah,
who it is.
and also with building ecosystem for the business purpose and success, you have to be genuine and authentic in everything you're doing. And there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much energy you can give. So it shouldn't be only going out to networking events or pitching yourself and just wanting, I want clients or I want attention. You need to think that you also in this ecosystem want to build relationships and have conversations, not monologues, and not pitching yourself all the time. Like, just think how you feel when someone tries to connect with you, even on LinkedIn, and the next thing you're getting is a paragraph pitch.
Yeah, or someone trying
Frustrating,
to
right?
sell you something, and yeah, it's endless. And
No one likes
it's
flickery. Exactly.
no.
So you have to be genuine in those connections. And sometimes it's not instantaneous. It takes time to develop those relationships. It takes time to educate people in each of that networks to what you do. But when you do a good job, and when you, I actually do it, and I've done it before when I've been a member of different business clubs, and on a couple of occasions you come, you sit, you have some drinks, you eat, you talk, and then you leave the table. And I would leave, and behind the door I would still hear someone saying, oh, Eva, she's amazing in this, you should go to her if you need this and this. And I would stand there and listen to that. Let's see if she's teaching me correctly.
Have I got my message out in the right way?
Exactly.
That's it.
I mean, this is
Yes,
hilarious.
market research.
Yeah, but this is exactly what it is. You want to hear what
Mm,
people say when you're not in the room, because that's one sentence that someone going to say about you, what you do and what you specialize in. Is this correct? Is this where you want to go? And if you, maybe sometimes you have to reinvent yourself, and it doesn't mean that you pretending that you're something different, but you're thinking, okay, I had experience in this industry and now I'm changing into that industry, how I can link my skills and bring that expertise that I thought was maybe not
mm,
relevant anymore, and actually now it shows that I know more than someone else. So sometimes it's just a little bit of digging in and realizing that you draw on experience from all your past, not only one thing that you've done. And then yeah, so when it comes back to the ecosystem as well, so very often when you're servicing someone, you would think of, like, starts with you. They may be like your partners, your key clients. So this is your really close ecosystem. Who from those key clients could be your, like, a raving fan? So raving fan
mm,
is someone who really achieved amazing transformation from working with you. They really understand your services. They understand what you're doing. They know how to pitch you. They know what type of clients you're serving, and they're sending you clients. That's a raving fan, right? And you really want to
mm,
make sure that you have some of those in your network. And the closer they are, the more people are going to trust their recommendations. So if this is something that if you want to build service-based business and you want that, going on a podcast is great, but it probably helps more my website ranking on Google than stream of customers, right? Because people
Yeah.
try personal recommendation a lot more. So I think sometimes being a little bit more aware of why you're doing certain things helps. It doesn't mean that you're not going to convert from a podcast. You will as well. If someone really needs your help and they open-minded and they want to change and they like your energy, they like your mindset, I know I'm not for everyone because I say as things are. So if my clients are not doing a great job, I will tell them, So it's tough luck, but that's not, they're not paying me for me to be nice. They're paying me to see the
They're
change.
paying you to be, yeah, they're paying you to be honest and to get the job done.
Absolutely. And then you go like maybe complementary services, right? If I have someone in my complementary services that knows exactly what I'm doing, could they be a good ecosystem to help me elevate my brand? And then you maybe go like professional organizations. And then you go higher, you go for media, podcast, press, and then your clients, right? So you see how it's going wider and wider
Mm.
and wider. And I think the biggest mistake is that people sometimes start from the top. So they start media, they start those big organizations, which are very important. I do them. I'm on a podcast. I run regular events in the British Library and City Business Library. I do it. But this is not necessarily the direct, it's not the one that's going to get you customer tomorrow.
No, and I think you make a really important point there, which is I think there's a lot of opportunity all around. I know that I'm really fortunate. I get invited to speak at lots of different events, lots of different things. But my thought process is there's only so many hours in the day, and it's about picking and choosing
Yep.
what you're going to do carefully. Because I could accept something, but if I accept all these things, the quality of what I do is going to be bad. And
Mm,
I also look at, I take a view on, what's the audience. And I think when it comes to personal brand, my views on it are you should be starting this as early as you possibly
yep.
can. And I know we have graduates who listen to this show, and you should be starting that in university, even building the brand that I've built on LinkedIn. It's taken me the best part of a decade. It
Yeah.
isn't something that happens overnight. It's very slow and incremental, and you have to give it a lot of love. And you have to, my experience of, LinkedIn in particular, and I know that's where we're kind of focusing somewhat with it being a business site, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. But if you get it right, the rewards can be great, and it's really really nice once you've got a strong community behind you. But it's I think the point you're trying to make there is you need to sort of walk before you run, as the saying goes.
Yeah, but I also think I really love that you mentioned LinkedIn here because LinkedIn is one of the best and most efficient platforms right now to build personal brand online. So if someone doesn't have a website or is not into social media or doesn't want to do podcasts and it all feels like a bit much what we're saying, LinkedIn is their place. It's the biggest professional network. 4 out of 5 or 7 now. Now I'm lying. It's been a long day. People makes the business decisions online actually on the platform, so
Mm.
money is there, people want to do business and they're looking for your services there. So it's silly not to have it. Most people now check someone else online. So when we talk about personal brand and when you talked about starting as early as you can, yes, the first thing I make my clients do is to Google their name. What
Oh.
comes up? Is what shows up what you want to see? Or can I still find the pictures from when you were on like, MySpace when you were 13 and getting drunk?
Well,
If
and
you
and
want
people need to realise that employers do
everything.
look now. And I actually had a law firm, say to me. I remember this vividly. A few years ago, they said to me, if someone isn't on LinkedIn and they don't have a certain caliber of profile,
Yeah.
don't bother sending the CV across. And I thought, wow, that's very blunt. But I did also understand that that they said that what's really key to them is hiring people who've got commercial acumen. And if someone hasn't got a LinkedIn profile, or the
Mhm.
LinkedIn profile just has nothing on it, people do actually now take kind of a judgment from that
Yeah.
about you as a kind of individual. And you might be the all singing, all dancing person, but you've got to kind of have these online things. And a lot of people, I guess, I'm not going to kind of say a certain generation or whatever, might think, oh, I don't want to be online. This isn't really for me. I don't want my photo everywhere. But what would you say to those people who maybe say, well, I just don't want all of
That
this
they don't have
online?
a personal brand and they will fall behind. Simple as that.
Well, right, okay, period. Right, okay,
Exactly what you said.
yeah.
I'm not saying that they might not have a single client. They might,
Mm.
but like you
How
just
are new clients going to find you? I guess that's a
exactly.
question.
Everyone wants some sort of proof, and you're looking at the reviews when you when you're buying shoes or whatever iPad cover from Amazon. Why wouldn't you?
Oh, you do. You don't go for a 3-star. You want a four-star plus iPad
Absolutely.
cover. I know that, and it's the world we live in now. And
It is. Today your reference could be someone else, leaving a recommendation on your LinkedIn profile. But it's like it's a basic thing, I guess, today, It's like it became part of our world, and it's I suppose you making yourself a disservice if you're resisting it. It's a bit like, no one
mm,
questioned today cars, whereas when the cars were invented, it was a killing machine. How dare you go in the car? I would never go in the car. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit like that. Unfortunately, this beautiful invention of internet really changed a lot. And when I
mm,
started, and when I also blog, I've been writing online for over a decade. I'm not only teaching, I'm actually doing it, and I've tried, I think, every single platform out there as well. So I know things come and go, but I love seeing how it changes people behavior offline and online. And there's something that
mm.
we call cyber psychology. Yes, I'm a gig, and I'm happy to announce it. So
We embrace that here. We embrace that.
it does affect how people work. It sort of impacts our behavior offline as well, right? So it's a fact of a matter that if you completely don't exist online, people will be suspicious. Because if they can compare to you
Mm,
on a piece
mm,
of paper and there's no other proof that you do what you say that you do, and then they've got someone else with exactly the same skills, but also amazing profile on LinkedIn that's like a sticky landing page to their ideal clients, that talks
yeah.
about the problems that the ideal clients have, that shows how he solves those problems, shows amazing reviews from other customers, and you can see maybe even someone's videos when they just jump on and have a chat and talk about different situations. That helps people find common ground, feel like they know you a little bit, helps them to understand your
Mm.
standpoint, viewpoint, and get a little bit of a connection with your personality as well. And let's be honest, people buy to that as well. um,
Do you think video is the future?
I think so.
Yeah, because that's something that we seem to in our business be embracing, and
Yes,
it seems to be people connect with you, don't they? They start to feel that they know you when they don't know you because they're seeing you
and
popping up,
it's really
talking.
interesting because in lockdown, when the lockdown started last year, I started a little bit on Instagram, where my presence was always, when it comes to my personal brand business, always on LinkedIn. And I haven't really been pushing this, but by all means, if anyone wants to join me there, I try to jump on video and talk quite a lot. And actually, even though my audience is quite small, I tend to get quite a lot of DMs from there, DMs as direct
Ah.
messages, because
I'm
because
liking the way you're saying what a DM is, just for all those that haven't yet woken up.
connected. Yes. um Trying to be mindful.
Mm,
So yeah, so it definitely does connect. And like I said, I also
mm,
been having a blog for over a decade, which is slightly different. It's
mm.
more personal, and so I completely agree. The moment you go online, people really connect to you in a completely different way, and it's mind blowing how actually supportive sometimes your community can
Oh,
be.
I agree. I think that there's, a whole world out there of people who can be behind you. But, what I've realized is if you wait for people to come knocking on your door, that just doesn't often happen. You need to put yourself in the right place at the right time to get the opportunity. And I think I think everything you've said, I think you've made some really good points throughout this episode. And I'm sure people are going to take some real kind of nuggets of listens
Mm.
from what you've said. If people want to find out more about you, Eva, or they want to connect with you, or indeed, I know that you offer a service, don't you, where you go through and do some free training, I believe.
So occasionally I do some trainings, like I'm doing one, for example, like this week, even with the City Business Library, and I always talked about them in my newsletter. But I do have a few things that there is a free training on my website, and this is something that teaches you a little bit how to start leveraging your personal brand on LinkedIn
Mhm.
with some
And if
basic.
people want to find out about that, where can they go to?
U spelled as letter U and eve.com. So that's on my website under resources, and it's completely free. And then you can also find me on LinkedIn under Ewa Pietreniuk, and then obviously on Instagram, as I said, I am now on Instagram under U and Eve as well, but spelled with underscores between U underscore and underscore Eve, and I spelled with
Well,
letter U. U, but letter U.
fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Eva. It's been really insightful. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm sure many people are going to take a lot of lessons from what you've told us today.
Brilliant, fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, if I was to finish on any point, just for anyone to take away, is to remember that anytime there is a perceived risk in a decision to hire or to employ someone as a service provider, the ecosystem will play important role in providing that third party feedback. So work on it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Eva. That's Ewa Pietreniuk from London. I'm Jason Connolly. This is the Career Success Podcast. Until next time, goodbye.